Your book, your story, your journey. Rightcoach.ie. So, good evening everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's an absolute privilege to be here. Thanks for having me. For some of you that may know me, some of you may not, I have a business called Right Coach Ireland, and that business is dedicated to helping people all around the world share the story of their own journey. And it can bring up some very powerful emotions, especially if we've found ourselves emerging from a space where it's important for us to get our truth out and speak our truth and share our truth. So again, it's my privilege to work with people that have the courage to come forward and share the truth and the story of their journey. Often, like myself, that can include this life trauma, childhood woundings, and unfortunately people come to me with often quite horrific things that should happen to no human being. And every single one of us in some way is still carrying two little suitcases of, let's call it stuff, that we picked up along the way. And so to unpack it and to let it go is a huge part of the healing journey for all of us. Some people will look at it, some people won't. I can't make somebody write a book, but I'm here to help them if they do so choose to do that. Before I invite some fantastic guest speakers to say a few words, I love to use the book launches as a platform to invite people to speak about the work they do in the community. I want to mention just thanks to one guy in particular, without whom this event wouldn't have happened. We connected about 12 months ago, and he's even looking after my dog this weekend, and that's Corey. Thank you so much for all your work behind the scenes, connecting me with the likes of Colin. And from there, so this wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Corey, so I think that deserves a mention and a round of applause. Thank you, sir. So, Power of the Written Word is a guide that I've put together to basically help anyone overcome the typical roadblocks and obstacles that they can come across when they do commit to sharing the story of their own journey. It's one thing saying, I want to write a book, and it's another thing starting to write it. But then things can happen and things can come up that can lead you astray or distract us. And those things can range from procrastination, self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, and all of these have been my bedfellows and friends over the years, especially procrastination. My first book, The Fox and the Scorpion, meets Cold Turkey, which I'm almost apologising handing this to people at 190,000 words of small print. My first book contained lots of mistakes. This book is the culmination of maybe learning from the books that I've written in the past, but this book started out as an addiction diary for me, writing about letting go of 25 years of drinking, 25 years of smoking and other unhealthy behaviour patterns. So I would encourage everyone in their own way, even if you don't plan to write a book, to do some form of journaling or writing to express your feelings and express your emotions. So, without further ado, I'd like to invite Derval to say a little bit about the work she does in the, I suppose, the field of mental health. Thanks everyone. I did not want to mention that Colin was a client of mine until he mentioned it, out of respect to privacy there. But I must say he is a beautiful wordsmith and has a very important story to share, and it's a privilege to work with him, so thank you. Before we finish off, I guess I ought to tell a little story, and apologies to anyone who's heard it already before, because I've probably worn out a few opportunities to tell this story, and it's loosely known as the story of the Chinese farmer, whereby we're in a rural environment in China a long time ago, and farmer has a horse. This is a fantastic thing because in the community having a horse is a source of wealth. You can sell the manure and you can obviously transport. You get the picture, there's a lot you can do with a horse that you can't do without them, I should say. And one day the horse runs away and everybody says, oh my God, this is a terrible thing, what are we going to do? Wise old man says, well, we'll see. So about a week later, the horse returns with 6 or 7 other horses. And everybody says, this is fantastic. You've won the lotto, you've hit the jackpot. 7 horses, made for life. Happy days. So the wise old man again says, well, we'll see. And next 2 or 3 weeks, one of his sons, who's trying to break in one of the horses, suffers an extremely bad fracture, legs broken in 3 places, and he's not going anywhere for a while, straight to bed. And everyone, oh, this is a terrible shame. What do we get? This is enough. And the wise old man says, well, we'll see. And in the preceding weeks, the Chinese army comes into town conscripting every able-bodied young man. And of course, the son is unable to join because he's in bed. And so, quite often we can get caught up in judging a situation without seeing the bigger picture, or if you will, God's plan. Who are we to really know exactly what's going on? So this idea of letting go of judgmentalism has been a part of my journey, as has letting go of a sense of lack of self-love. And it's, again, my privilege to work with clients all around the world. I didn't know America had so many time zones, 8 hours and 7 hours and 6 hours and 5 hours and stuff. That's been a huge education. But really what I'm teaching through the work I do is self-empowerment and helping people to realize how significant their own divine connection is. And we all have this capacity for our own relationship with God, the universe, the great shaman, whatever you want to call it. There's something there that we're connected to. And within us, it's a source of power and inspiration and love. And this is what we are. So it's been an absolute privilege to be here this evening. Thanks so much, everybody. Would anyone like a bookmark?